Hello and congratulations on grabbing this video course on Surefire Solo Ads. What I'm going to be talking about is not only how to build a list from solo ads, but most importantly, how to build a high converting list. Because the second part is actually what most people forget. They focus on the building process and then they forget about, oh, my list has human beings on it that I need to build a relationship with, and then they forget that, and then they promote, and then they wonder why in the world people aren't buying from them. So if you can understand how to convert a list and turn it into a high converting list, then you'll be able to apply that to solo ads, customer lists, any other types of lists as well. It doesn't necessarily have to be about solo ads. This is video number 1, the introduction. And what I want to do is give you a quick overview of what we're going to be talking about. We're going to talk about mindset because I want to make sure that you're in the right mindset before we get started. We're going to talk about a video's overview, how it all works, and what you need. So let's talk about mindset. Mindset is very important because what I'm noticing is a lot of people thinking quality over quantity. Now, they're not purposely trying to think that, but when you think about, okay, if I get a list of 10,000 and at least 10% conversions, then that's a good amount of people. But realistically, yes, you could take a list of 10,000 and convert it and get some good conversions. But at the end of the day, it really comes down to one thing, which is relationships. So you need to be communicating with your lists, and if they email you, you should email them back, because those are the types of people that will usually buy from you in the future. But of course, there's a difference between freebie seekers and customers, and I'll show you a different way to actually weed out those freebie seekers. So no longer are the days where you think a list of 10,000 is better than 200. So if you have a list of 10,000 freebie seekers versus a list of 200 customers, I would take 200 over the 10,000 any day. But in the end, I know there's a lot of different variables and you can argue this way, that way, the other way, but at the end of the day, you got to think quality over quantity. Do not let the quantity deceive you. That's basically what I'm trying to say. If you have a relationship with 200 people that trust you and want to see your emails versus a list of 10,000 freebie seekers that really don't care about what you have to say, the wise choice is that you should take the list of 200 any day. So if you focus on list of 200, build that list, build a relationship with that list. Believe it or not, a lot of these smaller lists outrank a lot of the bigger lists. So let's talk about videos overview. This, of course, is video number 1. Video number 2, we're going to talk about what your sales plan, your sales funnel is going to look like. So I'm going to give you some ideas on what you can do. And then in video 3, after I give you the sales funnel formulas and things like that, you can customize it, create your own plan of attack, and create a mind map, which I'll show you how to do. I'm a big believer in putting out your process so you understand what exactly you need to do so that when you implement the process, you'll do it right. Otherwise, a lot of people tend to jump right in and they don't even think about what they need to do, and then they just put it all in hoping that it's going to work, and in the end it doesn't really work. So I really want you to succeed, and the way to do that is simply by following the process, the formulas. And video number 4, we're going to talk about where should you get the list. There are reputable solo ad sellers and there are non-reputable solo ad sellers. You got to figure out ways to detect it, and I'm going to show you other ways that some people that are not necessarily reputable may actually do. So you want to be aware of what can happen. Do your due diligence and research before you find a solo ad seller. Number 5, I'm going to talk about the big myths that gurus want you to believe. A lot of them want you to believe, oh, okay, you can build a list of 10,000 in 2 days. Now, that can happen. Let's say, for example, if you have a product launch, or you do some other methods, that's possible. But if you focus so much on the number process, the building the list, the numbers, okay, I got 10, 20,000, 30,000, then I've noticed that the focus is lost in terms of the relationship. I mean, if you think about an analogy here, as a business grows, mom and pop business usually can provide really good customer service. But as the business grows, they got so many people that they're really unable to focus on customer support unless they hire people. Video number 6, we're going to talk about congruency and your initial offer. And these two are very, very important, because if you don't use congruency throughout your whole system, then you'll actually confuse people and your conversions will actually decrease. Your initial offer will pretty much set the tone for everything else. Your follow-up series, your training, your offers that you're going to offer in the future. So you have to think future when it comes to the initial offer. I know a lot of people just tend to grab something, put it together, and just provide it as an initial offer. But there really has to be some thought into the actual initial offer. Otherwise, basically, you're setting yourself up for failure. And I'll talk more about initial offers, examples of initial offers that you can create, and how to create your initial offer correctly. Number 7 is your personality. Believe it or not, birds of a feather flock together. So the people on your list, they're either going to love you or hate you. The ones that are similar to you will probably love you and they'll stick around. The people that are not similar to you, they'll probably won't like you. They probably think you're either boring, you're too exciting, and this and that. So personality actually has a big impact on that relationship building as well. Of course, you want to be yourself. You don't want to be somebody who you're not. Number 8 is follow-up series. That's really important as well. And number 9, how to convert, which is very, very important. So here's how it all works. Basically, we're going to find a good, reputable solo ad seller, and then you're going to send out your solo ad, ensure that your initial offer is going to be the promised topic of what you'll offer for years to come. Now, this is something that most people don't think about, but you're going to add the initial offer, and the initial offer is going to be about the topic, and everything that you promote after that needs to be that same topic, because that's basically the reason why somebody signed up for your list. And number 3, after that, step number 3 is going to be offering a one-time offer to weed out freebie seekers. That's optional depending on the market. You got to know your market if you use this method. That's why I say it's going to be optional, because if your market has, for example, a lot of CPA offers that you could offer, those, as you know, many of them are free, so requires people to just sign up for free and things like that. So it depends on your market if you want to weed out the freebie seekers, because sometimes a list of freebie seekers is good. Sometimes if you're in the market and that market has mainly products and not many CPA offers or free type offers, then you'll want to weed out the freebie seekers. And then, of course, you'll need to email them the initial offer gift, as well as 4 to 5 tips and advice type gifts that are similar, basically emails on a weekly basis or a daily basis, whatever you choose. Then, of course, email offers that are affiliate offers, your own product offers that are related to that exact topic. So you kind of see some congruency through the whole thing. Then basically you want to promote related offers only that relate to that specific original topic. So here's what you need. You basically need to have FreeMind, which is a free mind map creator, which we're going to show you how to use in video number 3 so that you can create your whole process. You're going to need to have an autoresponder. You can have Aweber, GetResponse, or anything else. And of course, you'll need money because, of course, you'll need to buy the solo ad emails. Just think of it as you need to invest in order to earn, but you need to invest wisely before you can earn. Don't jump into this thinking, okay, I'm going to invest a lot of money, I'm going to get a lot of money back. Think of it, you need to set up your process first, then invest wisely. So with that said, let's move on to video number 2. Hello and welcome to video number 2. What is your end sales plan? Or in other words, what is your plan of attack? So what I want to do in this specific video is to give you an idea of how to correctly set up your plan of attack. I'm going to give you some fundamentals, some formulas, and things like that that will help you along the way so that in video number 3 you can actually put together your own sales plan of attack and apply that to your business. So we're going to talk about the 3 major factors that affect the plan of attack, and then I'm going to give you a sales funnel formula that you can follow step by step. So the 3 major factors are where you get the lists or the list building process, your initial offer, which sets the congruent topic for years to come. For all the emails in the future, your initial offer is what sets the tone. And then, of course, how you use the list, which is conversions. So we build the list, we set the tone, and then we convert. So let's talk about where you get the list. This is important because it's the start point or start ground of your successful list. And the person recommending you, which is a solo ad seller, can position you as good or bad. You can be guilty by association, unfortunately, and that's reality. So you've got a good solo ad seller recommending you. That recommendation is powerful because if there's people on that list that trust that solo ad seller, they'll trust you as well. But you don't want to lose their trust. So you want to be congruent in all that you promise. So from A, B, C, D, all the way to Z, it's got to be consistently a similar topic. So guilty by association, just keep that in mind. So you want to make sure that you do your research, do your due diligence, do the best due diligence that you can, and then, of course, implement the plan of attack. Because people will presume in this day and age that the person recommending you, they'll either like them or they're going to hate them. And therefore, that feeling will pass on to you. So you need to be congruent, ensure that what you promise in that solo ad will be what you promise topic-wise for the other 4 to 5 emails with the tips and stuff, as well as the offers that you promote to them. A lot of people make the mistake of building a list and then promoting all sorts of stuff because, oh, so-and-so owes me a favor and this a favor and so does that. So that can actually really impact your conversions and hurt your conversions. So if you look at the psychology behind all of this, deep down inside, there's a reason why they signed up and thus there's a reason why they feel that you have either provided value or trash. You definitely want to provide value. Your initial offer. What will your initial offer be? And if you don't already know, I'm going to give you some ideas in the future videos, because I got a video specifically on the initial offer, because this is crucial. But this basically will position yourself either as an expert or somebody who just wants to make a quick buck and doesn't really know what they're doing. So you want to make sure that you position yourself as the expert, so that other people can be on your list because they can learn from you. Or maybe you can promote, when you promote stuff, you let them know in advance before it even comes out. You know, there's got to be a reason why they're on your list, and you've got to continually provide a solution to that reason. And of course, you got number 3, which is how you use your list, which is the conversion side. How fast will you email them once they get on your list? And what kind of affiliate offers can you provide? And that's something you need to think about. Like, is the market that you're in, does it have affiliate offers that you can provide, products that you can create yourself? Because if there really is not any, then maybe you shouldn't really be building your list upon that specific topic. So you've got to research affiliate offers that you can provide and ensure that the market has many products that can help your list who wants that specific topic that they sign up for. So make sure that you can provide a lot of updated information as well. For example, if that market isn't growing, doesn't have a lot of information, you just think it's a good idea, then maybe that's not something that you want to go into. So make sure you do your research, figure out, okay, there are affiliate offers, there are products I can create, there's a lot of information in that niche that I can create around, and that means that there's also probably a really good buying market. Normally, if you find a market that doesn't have a lot of offers, doesn't have a lot of competition, doesn't have a lot of information, you have to be careful, because just because it sounds like a good idea doesn't necessarily mean that there's a lot of people buying in that market. So make sure you do your research beforehand and set yourself up for success. Let's talk about the sales funnel formula. Basically, this is the way it's going to be. First, you want to weed out freebie seekers. Now, like I said earlier in the video number 1, freebie seekers can be good depending on the market that you're in. But if the market that you're in, you see that you're going to be selling most of the time, you might want to weed out the freebie seekers. Now, in other markets where you have CPA offers and things like that, where you make money when people take action, not necessarily that they buy, then you might want to keep the freebie seekers on your list. So it depends on your market, and you got to know your market before you take that option. But if you're at that point, you want to make sure that you weed out your freebie seekers, then you might want to take that approach, because freebie seekers tend to cause the most headaches and frustration. They usually want more of your time, they complain more, and then of course they do less. If you're in that type of market and you can handle it, great. But if you're not, what I found is I try to weed out the freebie seekers, because I'm in the market where I sell products and people buy. So I weed out the freebie seekers. I focus on the customers, or the people that are willing to invest, and I educate them. I help them. I do everything in my power to educate. Then I'll promote once in a while if I find something that will help them. So if you do that, the business model will actually be fairly lucrative, but will also be encouraging, because there'll be a reason why you're doing all of this besides money. And the money will be good, but you'll actually enjoy what you do. So that aside, basically what happens is people will sign up, and you of course you'll need to state that you need their email address to send them the gift. And then from that point, you give them the initial offer, or if you want to do the one-time offer to weed out the freebie seekers, you'll do the sign up first, then you'll point them to the one-time offer, which on that one-time offer page, you'll want to provide a link at the bottom that goes to the initial offer. That way, they get exactly what they wanted. Plus, you can actually email them as well as a secondary way. So you put the initial offer on the one-time offer page, but you tell them that you're going to email them the gift as well. So that way they receive an email as well. So you can sign up, they get the initial offer, you redirect them to the one-time offer page, redirect them to the gift, and then the email comes to their email box, and basically at that point they can get the initial offer, which is the first email that welcomes them, gives them gift, and then states what's ahead. You always want to state what's ahead, so you're basically connecting the dots. You're giving them the gift, welcoming them, stating what's ahead, and then after that you email them offers or training gifts first and then offers related to the topic. So as you can see, the topic has to be congruent all throughout the process in order for the conversions to actually work. So you can email them 4 to 5 weeks or 4 to 5 times with tips and advice that relates to the gift, or it could be 4 to 5 gifts as well. Then at that point, you can promote offers related only, and note the word only, to the original gift topic. If you begin to veer off and start promoting other stuff that's not really in that niche, then your conversions will drop. And you don't want that to happen. So with that said, let's move on to video number 3 and talk about how to customize your own sales funnel and create a mind map so that you can see visually, step by step, what you need to do. Hello and welcome to video number 3, which is creating your mind map of success, basically customizing your plan of attack. Let's get started. So the first thing you need to do is get a hold of some mind map software so that you can create a mind map. If you already have software that can do that, that's fine, you can use that. But if you don't, go to google.com and type in free mind. At this point, you can go down here and click on this link, sourceforge.net, and simply click download. And as you can see, it's available for Windows, Macs, and Linux. Download it, install it, because we're going to use it. So I went ahead and opened up FreeMind, and if you start out with a new mind map, if you do File, New, you can start out with a new mind map, and then we'll work our way up by using this right here. It's really not hard to use, even though it has all these buttons. These icons here are simply icons that you can drag and drop into the mind map itself. So don't worry about these. These aren't actually features. I know that can look scary and confusing, but it's basically, you can start with here, and what we want to do is just name our mind map. So if you click on this, you'll be able to rename this to something that you want to name it to. So let's say, for example, that I want to build a list specifically for WordPress blogging, and I want to be able to offer some initial offer that deals with WordPress blogging. I want to be able to sell WordPress type stuff, WordPress plugins, and things like that. So I'm going to say plan of attack WordPress. Now, if you recall the step-by-step process that I showed you in video number 2 in terms of finding a reputable solo ad seller and then email the solo ad, And then of course, step number 2, we got visitor signs up for initial offer, and so forth and so forth and so forth. So basically I'm going to just put that all out here. I'm going to customize it to the way that I want to do it. You can customize it the way you want to do it. This will give you the ability to see the whole plan of attack so that you can add notes to it, things like that, so that when you begin to implement the whole thing, you can say, okay, step 1, I got to do this. Step 2, I got to do this. And step 3, so that you have a checklist that you can check off. And that will give you motivation to go and move to step number 2 and the next step and the next step and the next step. That's why we're doing this. So, plan of attack, WordPress. If I right click on this area here, you're going to have a bunch of options. Now I'm going to scroll up so that you can see a little better here. So you got the edit node, which just allows you to edit this node here. Edit long node, you can edit attributes. But the things that you'll be using the most are new child node, which basically will be the parent, and then we'll have a child. And then the sibling node is basically kind of like notes that you can add to that specific node. So new child node here, this could be step number 1, which is find a reputable solo ad seller. And then of course we could do a new child node from here. You want to make sure that you do it from the main point itself. You can do a new child node and do step number 2, which is create an email solo ad. And then we got step number 3, which is the visitor basically signs up for the initial offer. So visitor signs up for initial offer. So in parentheses, that's the initial offer. So we'll need to have the initial offer. So we do a new child node, step number 4, and that would be after they sign up, they basically, you can optional, you don't have to do this, but you can redirect them to a one-time offer. So redirect to OTO. And of course, remember that's optional, so you don't have to do it. Depending on your market, you can do it if you want to. After that point, you need to make sure that the visitor gets the gift. Otherwise, they're going to get pissed off and get confused. So new child node, step number 5 will be visitor receives gift through email. So basically at this point you want to specify, that they're going to be able to receive the gift through email. That way they know exactly, where to go, what to do, and things like that. And of course we got step number 6, which is going to be the first email that they receive. And of course that email pretty much sets the tone for all the other emails. So step number 6 would be email, or email number 1, basically welcomes, gives gift, and then sets tone for the future. So after that, you want to basically move on to the follow-up series, which is part of the email process. So what I would do would be, I would actually create a node off of this, like a new child node off of this. So step number 6, because it relates to step number 6. Step number 7 would be emails number 2 through whatever number, can be 4, 5, 6, or whatever. So these email provide the 4 to 5 free tips. or gifts. And then of course we got that right there. And step number 8 would be when we promote the other offers. So from that point, we can do step number 8, which promotes offers related to WordPress only. You don't want to promote anything else to that list that is not related to WordPress. For example, if your list is about WordPress, don't go and promote other stuff unless you really feel you really have done the research and you really know that it has some sort of impact on that specific list. But you really have to think about it and make sure that it all is congruent. And basically from here on out, what I would do next, now that I have the basic step-by-step process, if you want to make it visually, clear exactly what everything is, you can click on the first one and then simply go over here and click on 1. And then of course number 2, click on 2, 3, 3, 4, 4, and 5, 6. And then of course 7 actually goes off of 6, remember. So we got 7, and then we got 8 over here. So at this point now you can see clearly 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Now what we can do is we can start adding to the mind map. So for example, when you say find a reputable solo ad seller, if you do a child node, you could do a child node, you could do a sibling node. But in this case, I'm going to do a child node. And what I recommend that you do is when you find a good reputable solo ad seller, make sure that you put, website, contact name, stuff like that, because the purpose of this is not just to get you to implement it once, but the purpose of this exercise is to help you implement it once. Once you get it all documented, every time you do it again, you can always refer back to this again and again and again, so that you pretty much speed the whole process up again. So you don't have to think, okay, what do I have to do next time? So find a reputable solo ad seller, put their names, and then if you need to put new child nodes, you can actually other website or other contact info. And of course, number 2, we got create and email the solo ad. Do another child node for that. We can say, okay, we're going to be using Aweber from here on out, and or we're using GetResponse. So you know exactly where to go, and then you can enter, the website URL, the direct URL, so that you can go to it straight away. And then of course we got number 3, which is visitor signs up for the initial offer. You're going to need to know what the initial offer is. So what is a good initial offer? And if you don't know what your initial offer is going to be about, don't worry. I'm going to cover that in the future videos, kind of give you some ideas on exactly what you can create and how to create the plan of attack for that specific initial offer so that you can do it right, set the tone for everything else. And of course we got number 4, which is redirect to the one-time offer. And of course you can include details about what your initial one-time offer is, and so forth. And another thing that you can do to help you just easily, get this done next time, if you do it once, you do it over and over again, is to create a template like this. Don't fill in the details just yet, but create a template and of course save it as a file, and then whenever you want to create a plan of attack, let's say for software development or some sort of software product or some sort of niche, whatever niche that you might have, then you can always create a duplicate of that and save it as, and create a duplicate and come through here and fill out all the information, such as the initial offer and the OTO and the email, solo ad, and everything like that. All right, so after that, we got visitor receives the gift through email. And then number 6, we can customize that just a little more. So we got welcomes, gives gift, make sure that it sets the tone. So what's your 4 to 5 gifts or tips for the future? So then you can add from that point, new child node, tip number 1, tip number 2, tip number 3. And of course we got number 7, which is provide 4 to 5 tips. Now what I would do in the follow-up series, and I'll talk more about the follow-up series later on, but what I would do is every single email, like email number 2, I would say, here's email number 2, here's the tip number 2, but tip number 3 is coming up, so watch your email, and it's going to be about this. That way they know exactly what to expect in the future. And then of course we've got promote offers related to WordPress only. What I would do here is I would do a new child node, and then I would put a link to websites where I can find probably affiliate products, so jvzoo.com, or I could do clickbank.com, cj.com, shareasale.com, places where I could find offers that related to WordPress only. Because if you go into a different niche, it'll be different. Like ClickBank does a lot of intangible products, but if you want a tangible product and you're doing something on a different niche, it could be a CPA offer or anything like that. And basically just go there and fill this out. So when you create a new niche, a similar niche in the future, you can always go back to the sites instead of starting from scratch and trying to figure out what you need to do next. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4. Remember, 4 is optional. You don't have to do that depending on your market. And if you're wondering how in the world can you do this, well, if you're getting them to your sign up on your list on Aweber or GetResponse, then what you need to do is the confirmation URL, or the URL that you set where somebody signs up. The next URL basically needs to direct to the one-time offer itself. And then of course you can use JVZoo if you want to do the payment processing. You can use ClickBank or whatever. But that's the whole concept, is sign up, redirect to a one-time offer, and then accept payment. And then at the very bottom of that one-time offer, what you want to do is put a link to the gift. So that way you don't piss people off that are looking for the gift. Because remember, the reason why they're signing up is for the gift, for WordPress gift or whatever niche gift. So make sure that you get it to them. And then the secondary part is that you email it to them as well. And they'll have to go check their email, and they'll get an email that conditions them to receive emails from you. And there you go. Hey, and welcome back to video number 4. We're going to talk about where should you get the list. Now, before we jump in, I want to talk about questions that you need to ask the seller before you buy a solo ad from them, as well as we're going to talk about solo ad directories, basically how to find solo ad sellers and sites that you can use. So first things first, let's talk about questions to ask the seller beforehand. Where do you get the list traffic? Now, obviously, no one's going to really tell you where particularly that they are getting the list traffic, but they should tell you some general stuff like, okay, they're getting their traffic, they're building their list through ad swaps, through SEO. So what you're trying to figure out here is how targeted is the list and how good of a quality is the list. Is it a diluted list? Is it something that is constantly growing with fresh leads and things like that? How do you send the leads? Is there a way to track it? Do they use the redirect method where they simply just redirect a bunch of clicks to you? Because you got to watch out for that, because not all solo ad sellers are the same. Some will just redirect clicks to you and not be very honest to you. So you have to obviously do your due diligence, and by doing your due diligence and asking questions, if the seller answers your questions, or if they don't answer your questions, then move on to the next seller. If they do answer your questions, then that's great. That's a good sign. How fresh are the leads? On a consistent basis, how many leads are they getting on a consistent basis, daily, monthly, so forth? How fresh are the leads? Because unfortunately, when you have a list, there is a time span or a lifespan of a list. And especially if they haven't built a strong relationship with their list. If they're just sending you clicks, and the clicks are just people that are not really interested, they're just clicking for clicks, then you're paying for those clicks in the end. So you want to know how fresh are the leads and how good of a quality are the leads. Another thing you want to figure out is if they are using ad swaps to get their list traffic, then what kind of types of niches were the recent ad swaps? If you have an idea of the recent niches, then you have a better idea of what kind of people on their list are interested in certain niches. So if you have people that signed up for WordPress, for other types of blogging, for WordPress plugins, that's a good list to go in if that's what you want to go into. But if their list deals with something totally different, then you may want to be aware of that, and you may want to avoid sellers if you feel like the niches that they're doing ad swaps doesn't really relate to your own niche that you want to build the list around. Audience questions. What kinds of people are on your list? For example, how many customers are on your list? Maybe not everybody can really tell you exact numbers, but they can tell you, okay, this list here is mainly ad swaps, or this list here has partial customers, partial ad swaps. So you're basically trying to figure out information about the audience of the list so that you can make sure that it's congruent and matching of your own list that you want to develop and build. What offers do your list tend to really like? That's a good thing to figure out what kind of niches that list likes, and if it's something similar to yours, then go with it. If it's not, move on to the next person, because not all lists are going to be the same. And of course, on the flip side, what offers does your list not really like? So by asking these two questions, it gives you an idea of what kind of offers does that person's list really like. So if you really wanted to create another list in a different topic area, you could do that or move on to the next. So in regards to the above two questions, what's the average open and click-through rate for those topics? And open rate, if you're not aware, it's just when somebody opens the email. And then click-through rate is when somebody actually clicks through after they decide to open the email. So for example, you might get a 50% open rate, but if only 10% of the 50% of the people click through, then that would be open and click-through rate for those topics. So that way you get a better idea of a measurement of what people like and what people don't like. Another question is, what is the typical time frame that the clicks will be delivered? You want to find that out because maybe that the clicks cannot be delivered until a whole time span of several weeks or a month. So you want to know on average, normally, what is that like and what kind of experience you will get too. Now that we've covered the questions, let's move on to showing you which sites to use and where to find solo ad sellers. So it really depends on what niche you are in. If you're in the internet marketing niche, then if you go to Reed Florine's soloaddirectory.com site, you can actually go here and you can go down here and read his reviews on which solo ad sellers are good, what kind of results that he received. For example, let's click on one of these. You can see it was posted on October 24, 2011. So of course, things can change over the time. But what I would normally do is I would look through here and I would look at the responses that other people have made, because a lot of other people may have tested this specific solo ad seller. And then if you see something consistent like do not pay any money, blah, 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 you will not get your clicks, stuff like that, then you might want to be aware of trying to avoid that particular person. So what I would do is I would just basically go through here. And let's say, for example, it is an old 2011 post. What I would do is I would just look for the names and I would go Google these names. So I would Google this person's name. And from that point on, I would start doing some research on other people's results, what other people are getting, solo ad results. And it looks like 2012, he got some good results, but now it's 2013, of course. So what I would do is just go through, read a bunch of reviews, try to figure out if this is the type of person that you want to go with. And if so, what I would recommend doing is try to see if they have smaller packages like $50, pay $50 for so many clicks versus paying a couple hundred and so forth. So I would test out the list first. If I got some good results from the list itself, then I would ask for a bigger package. I would warn you against going with a big package first, which is a lot of clicks first, so you can actually test to make sure that it actually works. So this is one directory if you're in the internet marketing niche, but like I said, some of these reviews are older, so if you click on the reviews, make sure that you read the other reviews down below. Like as we can see here, it's all the way to 2013. So that's a good sign that people are testing it out and letting you know what is actually happening. So, but I would compare that with going to the Worry Forum or Google to figure out more about this person, do your due diligence, and then go from that point. Don't ever take anyone's word for it. Do your own research. and ashleygo.com/solo ads. I've heard good things as well, so check that out. And another site is safe-swaps.com. Go here, create an account, but basically you can do a search in the directory for ad swaps, solo ads, and many more. For example, if I go here and I log in, you can do a search for how many clicks you want. They got solo ad mailings, they got ad swaps if you want to build your list and grow your list, and more. And if you click on somebody right here, you can see the amount of clicks for $26. Of course, that doesn't mean that you're going to get 100 people on your list. If you get a good conversion rate, you can get, let's say, 30% conversion rate. That's 30 people on your list. So that's about $1, about less than $1 per person. But if you go through here, you can actually see the ratings. You can see the negative ratings, the positive ratings. What kind of lists do they have, the niche that they're in, and things like that. So let's take a look at, for example, this guy here. So this guy here has a list of 9,836. Reliability. He seems to have a lot of really good, successful ratings. You can also tell down here what other people are saying, other people's experiences. And they got solo ads, which is what we're talking about. They got ad swaps and solo buyer. So different types of ways to build your list. Or you can use Google by going to Google and just type in solo ads and then plus the niche. So if you're not in the internet marketing niche, you're in the health niche, for example, you could do solo ads health niche and then do some research on that. But like I said, I recommend that you always do your research, do your due diligence, and ask the questions that I've basically gone over just a few minutes ago, and make sure that the seller's fine with answering those questions. If they're not and they get offended, move on to the next. So there you go. Hello and welcome to video number 5. We're going to talk about the big myths that gurus want you to believe. Myth number 1, build a list fast, the bigger the better. If you build it fast without a process or a system, where the system will help you grow a relationship with your list, then what will happen is you will lose focus and you will see your list as a number versus a human being. And what that will do is when you don't focus on the relationship building process, then it'll come tumbling down, crumbling down, and your conversions will drop. I mean, think about it. This is why most companies lose their customer service as they grow rapidly, except Amazon, of course. Amazon is a good example of a company that has great customer service, but their whole theme is centered around customer service and their process and their system and everything like that. So it's fine if you build it fast as long as you have a system in place to make your customers happy and your readers and viewers happy as well. Myth number 2. Immediately after you get them onto your list, promote the heck out of them and you'll get a 24/7 money making machine. Now, part of the sentence is true. You can create a 24/7 money making machine, but the myth is don't promote to them right after they get onto your list, unless it's like a one-time offer, which is fine if you do that. And your purpose and goal is to weed out the freebie seekers. But if your purpose is not to weed out the freebie seekers, after you have done that, after you have offered that one-time offer, if they didn't take it, that's fine. You still have room to warm them up and build a relationship with them. And that's why I say, if you can, you can do the one-time offer, but that's it. Don't promote the heck out of them later on. what I recommend that you do is build that relationship first through the follow-up series, through the initial gift offer, and things like that. So while you want to avoid positioning yourself as, of course, the person that gives away free stuff all the time, you don't want to condition them to think that you're the type of guy that just gives away free stuff. You want to start promoting after about 4 to 5 weeks of giving them tips, advice, and things like that. Giving them stuff that they would normally pay money for. So there is work involved. I'm not saying this is a get rich quick thing, but there is work involved. But with the work involved, it can increase your conversions phenomenally. Myth number 3. It doesn't matter what your initial offer is. Just put together one in an hour. Actually, it does matter greatly. The initial offer sets the tone for everything else. So you want to make sure that you think through this whole thing about the initial offer and carefully and how that will affect the future offers that you will be promoting. Myth number 4, just redirect people to the offer. Don't build the list. You don't need a squeeze page. Now, this used to be something people would tell others to do. Not everybody says it. Some people say it. This is true that you can make money doing this, but if you don't collect the leads, you don't get them onto your squeeze page and get the email list, then there's really no way of connecting back to them again. Hello and welcome to video number 6. We're going to talk about congruency and how that can impact the initial offer and how the beginning and the end must connect. Let me explain to you what congruency is all about. Congruency is everything should line up with the same topic from the beginning to the end. So from the point of the person being interested in your initial offer from the solo ad email, they sign up for the offer, that topic should be the same topic that you include in your follow-up series, as well as the future offers that you sell. So from signing up to training to tips to what you sell. Let me give you an example of congruency. Now, this formula here may look a little complicated, but really is not. If you notice a parentheses here, we've got parentheses A, parentheses B, parentheses C, and parentheses D. This is basically means that, okay, if you give that initial offer and then they sign up on their email and you give the initial offer, in the first email, you want to make sure that you give that initial offer that you promised to them, but then at the end of the email, you have B here. B is basically connects to over here. So we got A and B, and then B basically states what's going to be ahead. So let me give you an example here. Email number 1 says, welcome, thank you for signing up on this list. Here's the initial offer to, let's say, this WordPress tips. Now you're going to receive in another email number 2, which is B. This is kind of like sets the tone for what they're about to receive. In email 2, which you'll be receiving in 1 week, this is going to be about B. Okay, so now email number 2, they received email number 2. Now, in the email number 2, I'm going to say something like, A, I hope you received the gift. If you didn't, here's a link to it. In this email, we're going to talk about B. So grab B. So there's first beginning, middle, end. And then C is basically, okay, email number 3 you're going to receive is going to be on this specific topic. So as you can see, they're just connecting this one to this one and then to this one. And then over here, we're going to say, okay, if you didn't read the email B, then here's a link to it. So we link back here. And then here's C gift. And then here's D, where D is going to be the future email, this email. So as you can see, all it does is just connects here and then connects here, and then here, connects here, and then here. So it connects to the before and after. If you can do that and use that formula, that will greatly increase your conversion rate. So, another example. You got offer X. They sign up for offer X. You give the offer X. And all the other emails that you give relate to offer X. And then when it comes time to sell, you sell topics that are related to offer X. So throughout the whole process, you've got congruency and consistently all throughout the whole thing, the whole process, the whole system. That's the secret formula. So, 3-step process. The initial offer should be as what is promised. Your follow-up emails should be related to your initial offer, and your promotional offers should relate to your initial offer. If you can understand that concept, it's going to be super easy for you every single time you try to build a list. Now, let me give you a real life example so that you can take this formula and see it in real life. So, for example, WordPress. Let's say, for example, I want to build a list around WordPress, blogging, because that will enable me to sell things on WordPress, WordPress plugins, and anything that relates to blogging. So that's a pretty general topic. So the solo ad is going to be about WordPress blogging and how to set it up and drive traffic. And before I do that, I want to do research on affiliate offers. So there are a lot of affiliate offers relating to WordPress blogging, WordPress plugins, and more. So therefore, the initial offer needs to be about WordPress in terms of tips, a plugin, or something related to what you're going to promote later on. So I could say, grab this ebook or grab this video series where I'm going to talk about WordPress. And then the follow-up training should be tips that are relating to areas of WordPress. So remember, balance is key. You want to educate about 4 to 5 times and then promote. Because everybody else tends to promote. They don't really offer value. And then what happens, it just turns everybody off because you look like everybody else. But if you do add value, then that's great, and it can increase your conversions. So, promoting. Time to promote. You can promote on WordPress blogging, WordPress plugins, WordPress themes, or stuff that is related. But make sure when you promote something to review it in detail, unless it's, of course, your own product. So if you're promoting somebody else's product that's not your own, then I would advise you to review it in detail, either through a video, through a blog, or something. So that way you can show that your list that you truly care about them enough that you're not just promoting it because you want affiliate commissions, you're promoting it because you truly believe in the product itself. So on another note, do not promote products that are not related to WordPress blogging unless it is something that usually boosts it, like traffic, sales, or increasing conversions. For example, what I remember when I created a list a long time ago, of course at the time I would say yes, because I was thinking, okay, bigger lists probably means more conversions. Not necessarily. And that's going to simply just piss your customers off. They're going to think, why in the world do I need this? Click unsubscribe. So just remember, congruency. Hello and welcome to video number 7. We're going to talk about your personality and how that impacts the way you communicate with your lists. Positioning yourself is key, and you may not realize this, but the things that you do consistently position yourself from the beginning of the solo ad email to the end where you promote your stuff. But the beginning is very important. The question is, who is your audience and what are they looking for? Are they looking for an authority figure, an expert with helpful advice? And how can your audience relate to you? A lot of times when you communicate with your list, in order to build a relationship and create that sort of connection, you need to be able to relate to them, or they need to be seeing you as somebody that they look up to and admire, or something along those lines. So how can you stand out? Well, obviously you want to be yourself. You don't want to be somebody else and somebody who you are not. But the big thing here is that birds of a feather flock together. And I know you've heard this saying, is just people that are alike flock together. So some people like people that have integrity, show integrity, they're detailed, maybe they're straightforward. But some people just don't like this. That's just how the world is. And some people like people that are cocky, sneaky, rowdy, and more. So some people like this types of people. So you'll find that a lot of people that have these types of, that are like this, have a list that are a lot like them. And then you'll find a lot of people that follow the rules, they're not very rowdy or sneaky in their strategies or anything like that. They're a certain type of person, basically. They tend to have people that flock to them like them. And I mean, in this day and age, even if you have integrity, you're going to piss somebody off because somebody else who doesn't agree with you, decides not to be on your list. So I want you to think about who you are, your personality, and what you want to portray, and make sure that every time you email that list, if you're someone of integrity and you don't believe something is right, you probably need to say it. And even though you might lose some people, you might build a relationship stronger with those people that actually want to be on your list. And how should your audience react towards you? So, like I said, regardless, you will turn off certain people. And you cannot please everybody in this world. Just be yourself, but of course, be polite and be ethical. And of course, knowing your audience is key and what they're looking for. I know several people that have lists, and they are some of the rude, rowdy type, people. I'm not generalizing. I'm just talking about the person that I'm thinking right now. But they have a massive list of people that follow them and love them because they kind of like that. So be yourself, be polite, obviously, but you got to realize that the people that are on your list, you're going to build that trust and build that relationship stronger, likely with those types of people. So as you build a relationship, you will attract people on your list who are a lot like you. You may not realize this. So never try to be something that you are not. And do not sell something that goes against your personality, against your beliefs, or anything like that, because your list will pick up on that. They will see some sort of inconsistency. I mean, I know you're not perfect, nor am I. Nobody is. But if we can do our best, sell the stuff that we believe in, show our list that we actually care about them, then in the end, they will reward you and they will buy the stuff that you recommend. So obviously, be genuine. But in the end, regardless of what you do, make sure that you provide amazing value on a consistent basis in all your emails and even your offers, the offers that you sell. Provide that amazing value on a consistent basis, and people will stick around and look for the emails that you send. Hello and welcome to video number 8. We're going to talk about the follow-up series. What should you email in your follow-up series? Well, you can provide more gifts and more training. Usually 4 to 5 weeks of training is good before you actually email out promotional offers. So basically remember, balance education, then promotion. Education, then promotion. Do it back and forth. And you also want to stick with a medium, as this will attract a certain type of person as well. You can either do videos, you can do audio podcasts, you can do just plain text emails, but whatever you choose, try to stick with one consistently. So video, textual, or audio. You can do a video a week if you like to do videos and that's faster for you, or you can do textual, or you can do audio podcasts as well. Now, the key to this is connect each week backwards. So week 4 should have a link back to week number 3. So in the email with week 4, you can say something like, I hope you had a chance to view week 3. If you haven't, here's the link. Now let's talk about week 4, so that if anybody misses your emails, they can always go back. So have a link from that week to go back. But obviously with week 1, there's nothing to go back. So it starts with week 1. And I'll talk a little bit more about that in the next slide after this one. But for now, I want to talk about the week or daily schedule. You can do a weekly schedule or you can do a daily schedule. I recommend a weekly schedule because it's usually better and it's more spread out. But what you want to do is kind of lay out everything out and figure out, okay, do you want to do video? Do you want to do audio? Or do you want to do text? And whatever that might be, stick with that. Now, let me help you out by giving you a sample email 1 and sample email 2. With a sample email 1, this is what I would write. This is basically the initial offer. I would say, welcome and thanks for signing up. Here's your gift. And then, of course, I would include the link. And then, of course, after that, I would say something like, next week, I'll be checking up on you with some more tips on X topic. Stay tuned. So this first email sets the tone for the future emails. Then, of course, we got sample email number 2. And I would say something like, I hope you enjoyed your gift, and if you missed it, here's your link. So I point back to the email number 1. And then I would say, one way of using this gift is to increase X is blah. So that would be my tip for email number 2. And then after that, providing that email tip, I would say, today I want to elaborate on this more, blah, blah, blah. So I'd elaborate on it more. And then I would set the tone for the next email and say, next week we'll discuss blah. See you then. So sample email number 3, 4, 5, and more would be basically the same as this format here. And what you're trying to do is you're positioning yourself as not just an expert or an authority figure, but as a friend as well, because you want to eventually gain trust, which eventually creates sales. And most people start emailing without creating that relationship and trust. Avoid doing that. Be patient. Otherwise, it's going to lower the conversions. No trust equals no sales. So think about a friend versus a salesman that you don't know. With a friend, it's somebody who you trust in terms of long term. If they recommend something, you're more likely to say, okay, I'll go try that out, versus somebody on the street or sales guy saying, hey, go try this out, right? So you want to position yourself as a friend. Higher conversions, long-term list strength, and sales. With a salesman, it's short-term hype. They get all excited, but then that wears off later on. You may make sales in the beginning, but of course then you're going to lose your conversions later down the road. Congratulations, you've reached the end of this video course. This is video number 9, and we're going to talk about how to convert. This is where the magic happens. Now, if you followed everything up to this point, your conversions should be really, really good. But let's take that a step up and a notch up. So just a reminder when to sell only after the weekly training. While yes, this does take time and it does take work, be patient. This will actually help you out. And when it comes to time where you promote products and affiliate offers, your own products and things like that, think about your list. Is your list going to really like this? And if you've tried it out, you feel that this is something that you really, really like in terms of a product, you feel passionate about it, then do a review. Do a video review, do an audio podcast review, or do a blogging review. But whatever you do, I'd recommend that you do a review if it's something that is not your product. And then, of course, offer bonuses with it to add value. You want to always treat your list like gold. Don't promote somebody else's offer just because you owe them a favor. Or even don't make promises or favors if you don't feel like that product that they want you to promote is something that your list will want to buy. Because you may not realize this, but you may earn, a couple $1,000s, but then you may lose $10,000, $20,000 in the future. So that's why you got to treat your list like gold. Treat your list like trash and sell them stuff that they don't want, then you'll get unsubscribes and the trust will decrease. Now, obviously, you can't really please everybody in terms of selling stuff people don't want, but as long as it's on the initial offer or related to the initial offer, doesn't matter. Just keep promoting that kind of stuff. And the majority of the list is what counts. You're always going to get the minority of the list who, may be pissed off because you're selling something that they don't want. But as long as they love what you provide in terms of value on a consistent basis, then they're most likely going to stay on your list because you might promote something that they might like. So do not promote something unless it relates to the original product or initial offer. And if you can, segment the list so that you don't mail the fresh people. So what I mean by that is this: if people come through and they are within your system and they're getting the 4 to 5 weeks of emails, if they are there, you probably don't want to email them promotional offers just yet. You probably want to segment your list so that you know who has signed up, and after they signed up, maybe you can grandfather them into a list where you consistently email them, because you don't want to email somebody who's just fresh on your list. Otherwise, you haven't really built that relationship with them. So what you can do with that is you can create separate lists, and Aweber GetResponse has a lot of automation rules where you can create segmented lists, and then you can add them after a certain number of messages and things like that. Here's how to increase sales: offer bonuses or more value. Use what I call the triple method and offer a bonus that is worth triple the value of what you're promoting, so that it's obviously a no-brainer for somebody to buy through your affiliate link. And if you keep doing that over and over again, you will actually increase your sales. So triple value method: if the software, let's say, is $27, offer something 27 times 3 in terms of value, or offer something that fulfills using that software, like a video training course or reports, ebook, or something that is of value.